This video is brought to you by Against the Flow of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi is a book about Jake Fayard, a Marine veteran who is unhappy with the political machine running the state of Mississippi. He decides to fight the corruption from the inside. Jake will face more challenges than he ever has and will stand up for what he thinks is right. His notoriously hot temper will push him to the edge of murder, along with his friend and brother Kobe Barhanovich. Together, they will fight the system and give the power back to the citizens of Mississippi. Against the Flow of Mississippi is now available on Amazon. A link to the book will be placed in the description below. Welcome to History in the Eyes of a Southerner with your host, Anthony Allen. On this channel, we will take a journey through time and relate history to the contemporary eyes of modern America. I hope you enjoy the ride as I investigate and document the wonderful events that have shaped our present world. All right, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to another episode of History in the Eyes of a Southerner. And it is your very tired host, because I just got off work, Anthony Allen. And if you can't tell by my Viking blood, I haven't really done a whole lot on my paternal ancestry. Truthfully, I've never really drank mead either. So, this is a first. Skål! Actually refreshingly very good. And I'm not a wine person. I know I usually don't do videos drinking. As a matter of fact, I really don't drink all that often, to be quite honest with you. I like a good drink now and then, but where I work at in Gainesville, Florida, there's this liquor store. And I decided that I was going to pop into the liquor store down there because I'm cool with the owner. Usually when I'm going in there, because I'm on the clock, I am buying non-alcoholic beverages. Usually lemonade or some other variety that doesn't include a soft drink. Just to have something different instead of chugging the Mountain Dew that I normally drink to stay to work or stay awake on night shift. But tonight I wanted to do a little something, so I went in there and I asked if he had any mead. Again, I've never actually drank any mead. And he suggested that I try this. And again, y'all just saw the first sip that I have ever tasted, and it actually tastes very good. Not as sweet as I was thinking it would be, but not really sour either. Just a pleasant mix of both. Now, again, I'm not really an alcohol connoisseur by any means. I don't really drink a whole lot. I do enjoy a good drink. But, y'all give me a minute. I'm going to move this camera. Sorry. Truth be told, I'm a creature of habit, and my camera not being in its usual spot actually bothered me a little bit. And I don't know why it did. But, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little OCD. But anyway, I'm on here to talk about what I've recently found out about myself. And I really hope that y'all find this very interesting. If y'all have seen my other videos of finding my father on Ancestry, y'all will know that Allen is not my biological last name. Actually, I'm not even blood related to the Allens at all. Not by blood. Not in the least. I share no DNA with the Allens. Truthfully, my father, my real father, my biological father, his name was Lorenz Willig Oksenholt. Obviously, by the name Oksenholt, he was Dutch. Dutch or, some form of Scandinavian. In tracing him back, he actually is traced back to his great-grandfather came from Viking, which is in Denmark. And he immigrated to Louisiana. Sometime, looks like around the 1870s, maybe 1880s. So that's my father's side of the family. His direct paternal lineage. Fortunately, that is as far back as I've gone. But descending from Vikings as I do, I've always had a fascination with Vikings. Maybe it's my inner metalhead saying, these are some of the baddest ass people on earth. And that could be. I mean, they did what Americans did centuries before America even thought about doing it. Wherever the Vikings went, they literally just came in there, they took over and said, hey, it's mine. Or, hey, we don't want your territory, but this is what we're going to do. We're going to take this from you, and if you don't give it up willingly, we're just going to kill you all. They did it to the English Isles. They did it to France. And then, like what they did to Paris when they went in there and they said, hey, you're going to give me this. And if you give me this, we'll leave you alone. And, of course, the French king said, God, do I really want to fight these crazy bastards? I mean, they're coming in here in France and, their ships are just blaring Pantera from the speakers of their ship. Obviously. They're getting out and they got all these scary shields and swords and, man, they just look like they're, ready to mosh pit our asses. Not exactly historically accurate, but you get the point. And he's like, okay, we're going to give it up. Man, that was easy. Hey, I got an idea. How about a few years later? We'll give them a few years and think that, yeah, we forgot about them, and then, hey, let's do it again. And again. And again. And they did. They did. England, of course, it wasn't really England at that time, but what we now know as England, or the British Isles, or the island of England, yeah, he just sacked the shit out of that too. Why? Why not? Okay, so you got a few monasteries. Yeah, we're going to kill you. I mean, maybe they were just like these wild, crazy people that we think of Viking and we're like, yeah! With death metal just blaring in the background. Maybe that's what they were, or maybe there was a reason they attacked them. Now, I'll be the first to admit, these are questions. I don't really have any answers, but I would love to find out. Hopefully, I'll get time to read some sagas. Because I am of the opinion that if you don't know where you've come from, you're not going to know where you're going. I am of that opinion. My lineage for most of my life I thought was Acadian French, and I know the history of Acadiana, which is, where I thought my origins came from for a long time. I thought my origins were that of the Louisiana Cajuns, which would be the Allen side of my family. Going up maternally, the Chevaux. Turns out that's incorrect. So now I have to open a whole new chapter in my research of my origins, because it does interest me. And I need to explore, who were these people? Why did they feel the need to just raid and beat the hell out of everybody if our contemporary history books are actually proven right? Now, history is a funny thing. Recorded history is a funny thing. Recorded history, 90% of it is by humans. Either word of mouth or the written word. Archaeology plays a part in it, obviously. Archaeology, 100% is involved. And while you can track movements, you can track settlements, and with a little bit of knowledge of the local area, you could kind of understand why certain people were in certain areas doing certain things. Oh, that's good. Got a funny smell to it, though. But it tastes good. I'm sorry, I'm more of a Scotch man. But I could learn to enjoy it. Maybe it's because I need to chill it. I don't know. Maybe somebody can comment and tell me if I'm supposed to drink mead at room temperature, or if I'm supposed to chill it, or I don't know. Again, something else I needed to research. Again, I'm also not a really big drinker. But I think this bottle was worth the $30 I spent on it. Anyway, I would like to know why people, it's easy to know what happened. We can see what happened. We can record through the written word or through word of mouth. And I'm sure sagas would tell a few things. Of course, when you're looking at the written word, or you're listening to word of mouth, or reading what has been passed down by word of mouth and later been put pen to paper, it's always subject to the interpretation of the writer. Now, as a writer myself, I understand this. If there's a certain, everybody has a certain bias. Okay? For instance, let's just say that I was going to write about the attack on Pearl Harbor. And I'm an American. Well, I may be biased in favor of the Americans. Well, let's just say I'm a descendant of a Japanese. Let's just say I'm a descendant of Admiral Yamamoto of the Imperial Japanese Navy. Well, I may write something totally different and put it in favor of the Japanese when writing on history, even 80 plus years after the attack. I don't really think anybody, even descendants of Nazis, can excuse Hitler, but there might be there's a few apologists out there for him too, that if they were to write certain things, even though we all know Hitler was a bastard, and if he would have died of acute lead poisoning, either self-inflicted or inflicted by one of the Allied Army's rifles, or his own Army's rifle for that matter, or pistol, the world would have been better off a whole lot sooner. But there are writers who interpret what Hitler did in a positive light because they are biased in favor, misguided as they are, of Hitler. Sadly, these people walk around in a 2023 world. I don't understand them because I don't understand their logic behind it. But, hey, in this country, we have the First Amendment. You have the right to be stupid. But that being said, reading the sagas, like if I was going to read the saga of the Greenlanders, which I've never read and I want to, it may put it in one light. There are other sagas that may put things in other lights. And then you have the recorded history handed down from the Anglos in early medieval, the early medieval British Isles, the Franks in France, the Hun in Germany, or other Germanic tribes. I'm saying Germany loosely because obviously Germany didn't exist as a country as we know it 1,000 years ago. But when we look at this stuff, we have to ask ourselves, were the Vikings just that hard up for a fight? Did they just
wake up every morning with I'm going to go kill somebody. Hey, over there's an island. Let's go check it out. And rape, rob, pillage, and kill everybody we meet. Or was there something deeper? Was there another reason why they did what they did? Did they even try to come up with some type of, for lack of a better term, diplomatic relations with these people? Again, these are questions I don't have an answer to, but I am 100% dying to find out. And I want to find out because I am genuinely curious. I want to know why people do. Now, if you go to Scandinavia today, which, again, I'll admit I've never been, but from what I understand about Scandinavia today is if the Vikings 1,000 years ago were just all about beating the hell out of everybody they meet and just slash and burn and blood and killing people and just, hey, nice island, now it's mine. The Scandinavians, and I've met a few, but again, I've never been to their country or their region, because there's obviously more than one Scandinavian country. Today, the ones that I've met have actually seemed very friendly, very docile, very nice, well-rounded individuals. Now, all fairness, obviously I grew up in the South. I grew up in a subtropical climate, in the subtropical climate of South Mississippi and Southeast Louisiana. I'll be the first to admit, if I had to wake up to 9 months of winter every year, I would probably be pretty well pissed off too. I would probably be in a bad mood. And of course, when you're that far north, you don't really have a big growing season, so you're going to need supplies and natural resources from other areas. I think even today, those areas, though rich in some resources, the resources like oil, I don't really think they had a use for petroleum like we do today, 1,000 years ago. I don't think anybody was looking for gas for their muscle car. I'm pretty sure they needed other things to survive. That was found on the British Isles and mainland continental Europe. That could have played a part in it. The other part of this is I want to discuss Leif Erikson, who is probably, in my opinion, my favorite person in early medieval times. I would say that it takes a man with fortitude to do what he did. Even if it was just by accident, he discovered an entire new continent that I don't think anybody in Europe had previously touched. I know the discovery of the continent goes to Christopher Columbus, but I would hope that if anybody who pays any attention to anything past third grade history would all know that that's largely bullshit. We know that Christopher Columbus was not the first to discover America. We know Christopher Columbus was nowhere near the first. Although I think it's also understood that the Vikings didn't really know what they had discovered. I don't think that they were capable of understanding that they had stumbled on a continent so vast that it literally stretched nearly from the North Pole all the way to the South Pole, and at its widest point, what, 4, maybe 5,000 miles if you go straight across Canada? From Nome to the eastern tip of Canada. I mean, that's several thousand miles. I'm not saying that it was uninhabited. Obviously, it was inhabited and had been inhabited by a lot of different groups of people for a very long time. But they, as far as I can tell, were at least the first Europeans to set foot on it. There are speculations that the Polynesians may have discovered South America and southwestern North America. There are speculations and, accepted history that Native Americans were traveling nomads that came over from Siberia over the land bridge during an ice age. But as far as Europeans goes, and again, I'm not saying that even Leif Erikson was the first. Obviously, again, there were people that came here before. I saw a great documentary on the History Channel basically showing that there was thousands of people that discovered this continent that we call America. The Arabs certainly were excellent navigators. The Chinese were excellent navigators. The Polynesians, how they were able to island hop from one island to the next, which I suspect following probably currents and bird migrations would be my guess on that. Again, that's for a whole nother subject, though. It's for a whole nother video. But I do believe that Vikings were probably the first Europeans to discover America. And they don't really get the credit for it. Again, all these questions I would like answers to. And I plan on researching every one of these questions. These are burning questions in my mind. So, question number 1 is, who were the Vikings? Question number 2 is, why do they have such a badass reputation as some of the greatest seafarers in the world and some of the most ferocious fighters in the world? And why did they sack everybody that they came in contact with, presumably? And are the history books correct? Those are my questions. Anyway, y'all, until then, I'll be working on this, along with other projects that I said I'd be working on. Y'all stay tuned. Till then, drink your mead. Scold!